Harrison, New Jersey. You can say this about the United States men's national team. They are singing from the same songbook of positivity, even as the players looked like they're far from being on the same page in a 2-0 defeat to South Korea. USMNT manager Mauricio Pochettino said his team was better than South Korea due to having created more chances and allowing just one shot on target in the second half. Tyler Adams added that getting new faces into the national team and bringing back some old standbys was a positive. I don't think it was a bad performance, the US captain added. This isn't to say that Pochettino and Co should be ripping each other in front of the assembled press, but the public pronouncements flew in the face of the available evidence. USMNT player ratings 3 out of 10 for Poch as defensive issues exposed. US to continue World Cup prep versus Uruguay and Paraguay. World Cup, who is qualified and how rest can make it. The Taeguk Warriors stretched the US defense from the outset, going direct at first to Son Heung-min, but that only served to soften up the Americans' midfield and backline, and soon enough there was space underneath to be exploited. Lee Jae-song, under zero pressure, found US defender Tristan Blackman on an island, and his through ball found Son in stride to fire past goalkeeper Matt Freese in the 18th minute. Then, just before halftime, a clever combination put Son through on goal. He was upended by Freese, only for Lee Dong-gyong to backheel the loose ball into the net. On both goals, the US backline was stretched too far apart along the back, leaving defenders isolated. US defender Tim Ream didn't dispute that assertion. Stream Football Americas on ESPN+. Hercules Gomez and Christina Alexander debate the biggest storylines and break down the best highlights that soccer in the Americas has to offer. Stream on ESPN+, US only. There was improvement in the second half, especially around the 60-minute mark when the US brought in defender Chris Richards, who Pochettino said wasn't fully fit, and went to a 3-man back line, a formation the coach hinted that he might use again in the future. But the US could never find the one goal to make South Korea sweat, with Richards and fellow substitute Fuller and Balogun missing clear chances, even as the home side finished the match with a 17-5 shot advantage. The 2-goal cushion meant South Korea never had to open up and have their defense exposed. All of this is why it's hard to take too many positives away from the match. It's also hard to not feel alarm over the direction this US team is heading. Ask yourself, when was the last time the US delivered an impressive performance against a FIFA World Cup caliber opponent? The 0-0 draw against England at the 2022 World Cup? The subsequent 1-0 win over Iran? It's hard to think of any match since then, certainly not in the year that Pochettino has been in charge. Pochettino tried to explain the defeat by pointing out that players like Son are world-class. Indeed he is, and he tormented the US defense on the night. But the 2026 World Cup will be littered with such players. It's not like the US will get a break from that kind of competition next summer. Pochettino even went so far as to say that results won't be important until next summer's World Cup, recalling how the 2002 Argentina team he was a part of entered the tournament on a roll, only to flame out in the group stage. Granted, pre-World Cup form isn't a guarantee of anything, but hosting a World Cup on home soil is a rare opportunity to drive the sport forward in this country. Generating some momentum will not only do that, but also instill some confidence in a side that is at a low ebb. I mean, I love the feeling of winning, so I would like to win games before the World Cup, but I understand his thought process, and we talked about it in there, is you could still have good performances and not necessarily get the result. But yeah, I think at certain time it's important to have some results. Part of the issue is that preparation time for the World Cup is evaporating, yet Pochettino seems to think that there is still time to hunt for different players. That's a laudable goal, and one that would make perfect sense in a normal World Cup cycle. But this cycle has been compressed from the get-go, given that the last World Cup didn't happen until the end of 2022. Combined with the coaching change that saw Pochettino hired, this cycle is anything but normal. The combinations of players aren't always making sense either. Last cycle, the pairing of Tim Weah and Dest on the right side worked because Weah is a player willing to track back and provide some defensive protection. Pairing Christian Pulisic and Dest on the same side risks exposing the US defense. You don't want Christian Pulisic having to track back anyway, but it was no accident that South Korea's first goal came from Dest's side. He was left ball watching on the second. In many ways, Pochettino is taking an immense gamble. He's betting that he'll find the necessary on-field chemistry before the clock on his World Cup preparations runs out. That runs the risk of encountering scenarios at the tournament that he didn't prepare for with his first-choice players, all because he's given reps to performers that are long shots to make the squad. For now, Pochettino insists that wins are just around the corner. I think the results will arrive soon, for sure. What's still unknown is which corner. The hope is that it starts on Tuesday against